Yo guys, what is going on? It is that time. Yes, again, we are reviewing Together, the movie, the body horror movie where a guy and a girl are living together. They touch hands and then their hands end up inside of each other and it's all like, I hate it. If you don't know, if you want the heebie-jeebies, just watch that one clip of Deadpool and Wolverine. Remember the bald chick when she puts her hand like in the dude's face and you see like her knuckles kind of like, you know, going up and down his face? You know, if you clench your butt during that, you will hate this movie, dude. Let's just jump into it, guys. I want to talk about something different real quick. What do you guys think at the top of your head? What is the craziest way to promote a horror movie? Oh, what's that? If you said kissing, I wouldn't say that's like correct, but let's just see here. Freaky ass couple. Yo, yes, guys, this is indeed a promotion for the movie Together. This is Dave Franco, James Franco's younger brother, and Allison Brie, who you might know from Community. It is this couple. And they are making out on a park bench. And it's just so funny because like I'm scrolling through my feed and, you know, I come across this and I mostly just follow like movie news, TV news, stuff like that. And all of a sudden I come across two people kissing and I'm thinking to myself, this is a little odd, you know? I don't recall enjoying this kind of content. But yeah, these are the main stars of the movie. And, you know, what better way to get people to click on? I mean, hey, 3.2 million views is nothing to, you know, do whatever with. But yeah, you can see right here, bam, trailer for Together, a new body horror movie starring Allison Brie and Dave Franco. So, yeah, no, it's just kind of interesting, kind of funny that they went this route. You know, they could have gone the expensive route where they show some body horror like in public, because you see in the movie you see like two dogs, they're like mutilated together and it's like, oh gross. It's kind of like that one scene in The Thing, if you guys have ever seen that. My favorite horror movie, by the way. Like, you know, it's all dogs all mixed up together. Maybe they could have thrown the prop they used for that dog, you know, throw it in a dog park somewhere, just really ruin people's day. But no, hey, kissing works too. But guys, I just got back from seeing the movie. So what did I think of it, guys? This is a great movie. This is fantastic. All the curtains completely thrown to the side. This is a really good movie. It is not perfect, but it's really good. I was looking at the Rotten Tomatoes score before I went to go see the movie, and it was at 100%. 100, baby. Now it's at 99. But then you see a couple other places. IMDb gave it like, it's at like 6.5 out of 10. So I don't usually trust those, but I do like looking at Rotten Tomatoes only because that's like all the big critics, you know, when they come into the picture. Do I think it is a 10 out of 10? Absolutely not. Before I get into spoilers, guys, this is probably a good, I'm going to say a 7. This is a good 7 out of 10. I think so. So let's get into the specifics. So basically, Allison Brie and Dave Franco's character, they're moving in together. Allison Brie's character just got a really good job as a teacher at this one school, but they have to move far, far away to in this remote area. They move out there, they end up hiking through these woods, and then all of a sudden they come across this really creepy well that's like underground. And they're like, both at the same time, there's like, wow, well, we're both really thirsty. Me thinks me thirsty, yo. They both take a sip from the black water. And then it starts with Dave Franco's character He's like, hey, I'm feeling a little freaky. They wake up together the next morning, still in the cave. Their legs are like kind of attached. It's, you know, they're like, oh, it's just mildew, ha. But then as the days go on, we see that their bodies are acting crazy. Allison's character drops Dave off to get on a train. Dave's character starts freaking out when she starts driving away. He ends up at their school. They end up doing, you know, some naughty stuff. And yeah, that's basically how the whole first 2/3 of the movie is essentially them trying to figure out what the hell's going on. They wake up. There's this really cool scene where she's like, you're kind of on my hair, by the way. She turns around, her hair is like inserted into his throat and he's choking on it. Dude, we're going to talk about all that stuff after, but going through the finale of the story, basically there's this other teacher that's like, actually, I taught my 9th grade history class about this cool Greek god where Zeus, actually we were all supposed to have 2 faces. Did you know that? We were all supposed to have 4 faces when we were originally created as humans, but Zeus thought we were too powerful, so he separated us. And then for some reason, Allison's character is like, cool. Even though it's like the creepiest thing you could ever tell someone. And then, yeah, the movie ends. Spoilers here, guys. The movie does end with them both accepting their fate. They become one person, as that is the goal. We see that there's a difference where if you don't accept it, eventually, inevitably, no matter what happens, you are put together because you drank water from the well. But if you accept it, then you become one brand new person. If you don't accept it, then you become this like horrendous, you know, terrible, the Thing sort of abomination. And then the movie kind of ends there. So I have a lot of positives and I have a couple of negatives that I want to go over for this. So positives, what I like about the movie, every single scene where there is body horror, it is so intense. My hole was clenched, my boys. I was clenched up every single scene. Like there's this one part where they're trying to stop each other from getting too close, but their arms start intertwining and you see how they're under each other's skin and their bones start like trying to like kind of like jut through into the skin, and it's kind of like you're all this cracking, and it's beyond intense, and I love it, right? And you have moments, like I said at the beginning, you have this dog where at the beginning it shows these 2 dogs. They both drink some water, and then they're kind of like they're both just staring at each other, and it's really just you're just tense the whole time because these 2 dogs are staring at each other. And then the dad goes in to check on the dogs because they're making weird noises. And it's like the sound of one of them's choking and the other's like gulping. And then it's these 2 dogs like mixed together and you see them breathing really fast. And it's just, you guys have to go see this movie. No matter what score I give it, because I mean, like I said, it's a 7 out of 10 for sure. You need to see this. Is this a theater movie? Not necessarily. I think you could easily wait for streaming on this one. I think that's the same for a lot of Neon A24 films. I think that's perfectly fine to wait. There's nothing really, you know, to see on the big screen. But all the little details, the prosthetics, I want to go into the room where they made all this stuff. It looks so good. But obviously the best scene is the end scene where they both are finally like, all right, we're gonna come together now. And then it's the scene from the trailer where their eyeballs, like their eyelashes start, you know, they're kind of going in each other and their eyeballs go into each other. And then they're like wrapping, both of their entire bodies are wrapping in and out of each other. And it's insane to look at. And I will say, not because I'm not trying to glaze the whole thing, right? You know, there are issues. There's a little bit of CGI here, and I can tell that when it comes to like, okay, the dog is put together. There are a bunch of squirrels that are put together. Those are props, right? And they look really good. And the parts where their hands are intertwining, yeah, that's CGI, and that makes sense. But when it's both of their bodies intertwining, the CGI is a little hit or miss there. I think if they cooked an extra week on it, or if they just cut away like a second sooner, I wouldn't have noticed it. But they really hang on this shot of their bodies coming together. It looks a little cheap, but that doesn't take away from the quality of the film personally. So yeah, all the body horror, amazing. And yeah, aside from, it's not even just horror. Sometimes it's comedic. Like there's this one part where, you know, they're banging. The guy hasn't been able to pump one out for a while, and they're both just like, we gotta go now. They start banging in a school bathroom, and then they're both like, ah, whoa, that was awesome. She's like, all right, you can pull out now. Go ahead and pull out now. Go ahead. And he's like stuck in her, right? Not trying to get too descriptive, but it quite literally, like, you see them pulling to try to get each other off, and ooh, the moment that they just kind of snap off, I'm just like, holy God, no. Yeah, it's just absolutely insane. Aside from that, the chemistry between Alice and Dave is insane. Like, they're so good together to the point where I was like, oh, well, no, duh. Apparently they're married. Apparently they were married, and this was a joint movie that they both produced together. So, yeah, obviously the chemistry is there. When they have arguments, you really feel it. You feel both of their sides. Yeah, admittedly, in the first 20 minutes, I was kind of rolling my eyes, because the first 20 minutes is before they get to the house in the town where all this stuff is going on. And it's just 20 minutes of the friend of Allison's like, wait a minute, it's been how long since he's screwed you? Girl, that ain't it. And then it was the guy talking to his friends. They were like, girl's a freaking bitch, dude. Join the band, bro. And it's a bunch. And then she proposes to him, but she doesn't have a ring. So he's understandably like, huh, what's happening? And then, she gets offended by it. And then it's really awkward, but I think it's awkward on purpose. But at the same time, at that point in the movie, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. But as soon as they get to the house, it was pulling me back in. You got me back in. But yeah, that first 20 minutes, honestly, I feel like you could get rid of that. Like, just add a little scene where they're driving in the car up there, and she's like, oh, I can't wait to start my new job. And he's like, oh, but the band, then you got your little backstory. Because that is kind of a negative for this right here, is there isn't really that much of a backstory. Aside from him wanting to do a band and her just wanting to be a teacher, and she's not totally satisfied in their relationship. That's kind of the only character arcs that we really get, but that's fine. That's perfectly fine, because we focus more on the horror. We focus more on the body horror, which is obviously the best part. So yeah, we don't know a lot about them, but their chemistry alone is what keeps me hooked. So I'm fine not knowing as much. What does bug me and what does deduct points, however, is they meet this teacher, right? She meets this teacher in her teaching profession. Basically, this guy is just really creepy, and he's like, maybe I should show you around sometime, And then she's like, oh, okay, sure. He randomly comes over for dinner at their new house. And then he awkwardly gives her a hug and gives him a handshake. So in your head, you're thinking like, oh, this creepy guy is gonna do something weird. Then it turns out she ends up going to his house after Dave and Allison have a fight. And then that's when he reveals that actually he was married to a dude, so he's gay. So then that kind of made me think, I was like, so why did we do the weird him creeping on her thing? Like, why did he awkwardly give her a hug? That just seems weird. But that's not what bugged me. That's like a nitpick. What did bug me is we have this throughout the film. So after Allison and Dave, they get stuck in the cave and they drink the water and this stuff starts happening to them. We have this moment where the teacher explains like, oh yeah, back in Greek mythology, we were actually supposed to have 2 faces and 4 limbs or 8 limbs or whatever. But Zeus feared our power, so he took it away. And at that point, I was like, yo, okay. And we see these like bells hanging around the woods. And obviously the cave itself had some bells and it had these church pews. And that doesn't go anywhere. We don't learn anything about that. So at the end of the film, we get this part where she goes back to the teacher's house because she forgot her car keys. And she shows up and this video of this guy in his wedding is playing. And it shows like all the Greek stuff on the walls. It shows the guy and his husband, you know, doing the Dragon Ball fusion dance, if you will, and them combining. And then it's revealed that this guy he did have a husband, but now the teacher is him and the husband. Like they became one person. And while that reveal is cool, that is a cool reveal, because you kind of notice it when she's looking at a picture, when Allison is looking at a picture of the teacher and the husband, because you're looking at them, it's like, oh, they kind of look alike. Well, now it makes sense because it's like, oh, well, they're them combined. So you have really interesting stuff like that, but then that's all we see of the teacher. So she gets freaked out, she runs out of the house, and that's it. That's all we get of that. And I was just really hoping to dive a little bit more into the cult, dive a little bit more into the Greek stuff, you know? So it was just kind of disappointing because it's like, I'm glad that we focused on the horror, but you had a really cool premise and I want to know more about it, but you know, there wasn't enough for me to really appreciate it. And actually the teacher leads to another issue that I had with it. The teacher is the only person in this town. Like she works at a school and like, yeah, you know, there's kids there, but the only other adult in this movie is the teacher, like in the town. Cause yeah, there's people from their hometown when they're having the goodbye party. And the guy goes to like a therapist for like 2 seconds. So yeah, it's basically just in this town, it's just these two, a therapist and a teacher. And again, I want to see the whole world expanded a little bit more. I want to see, oh, the therapist was also, 2 people combined. Oh, all the, maybe the kids, maybe maybe it's like a Baraska thing where they're grown up to be fodder to the lamb. And they're brought together and they're combined at a certain age, something like that. But no, it's only the teacher. The teacher's the only one that has any affiliation with this cult stuff. The bells that I mentioned before, they don't really have a purpose. They're just kind of there to be creepy. And again, I know I'm kind of harping on a lot. This is a very good movie. It's just my critic brain is going off with these things where I'm like, why didn't they explain this? Where was this at? Was this the only guy in this town? I want to know more about the community, and I just don't think that we had enough time to explore it. I think, honestly, this is one of the rare times where I wish this movie was longer. It's only about an hour and a half. Make this puppy 2 hours. I would gladly watch a longer version where we dive more into the cult stuff, where we dive more into, something's wrong with the school, just something like that. But yeah, guys, this is a very good film. I super enjoyed it. Absolutely check this one out. Wait until it's on streaming, I would say. But it's a solid 7 out of 10. It's a damn good time. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out all my other reviews, and I'll see you next time for more reviews. Funny enough, see ya.